Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cup Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you is having a good Wednesday, wherever we are around the world. But welcome back to a bit of a different episode for you guys this evening. Of course, it is still transfer related. We are going to talk, of course, a little bit about the biggest transfer saga going on so far this summer window, and that is around Alexander Isak. Of course, all the drama, all the news broke late last night, didn't it? Around the PFA Player of the Year awards, or the PFA award ceremony. Of course, as soon as the team of the year got announced, of course, we had Alexander Isak come out with a statement. Of course, you guys would have seen it by now. I think everyone has seen it, which, of course, has caused a lot of controversy and, of course, a lot of uproar with Newcastle. I think a lot of people, a lot of neutral fans as well, also having their opinion on it as well. So let me know your guys' thoughts, of course, down in the comments. We're going to talk, what's going to happen next, because look, at the moment, nobody knows what's going to happen. Again, you've got deals reportedly being announced that Newcastle would be willing to sell Alexander Isak even still if they get two strikers in the door. And I'm also saying that, and look, they can't even get Wisa over the line that they've been tracking all summer long. But we'll discuss that and obviously break things down and get your guys' thoughts, of course. And do you think Isak will join, of course? Because I think the other thing is that Liverpool might have to prepare for a plan B. We talk about Liverpool. Number one goal is to sign Alexander Isak. That's the dream for this summer, is to sign Alexander Isak. But I think for a big period now of this time where we've been chasing him for so long, I think everybody's kind of forgot that it's only, 2 weeks, barely 2 weeks of the transfer window left. And look, Liverpool are light up top. Of course, for the first couple of games, it's sound. Of course, Liverpool have Ekitike, we have Gakpo, we have Salah. You've got Federico Chiesa as well. But as the season goes on, Liverpool could, of course, we're going to lose Mo Salah at one point throughout the summer, or throughout the season, as well. So, look, Liverpool are very, very thin up top. And I think there is potentially the question marks now of, do you go to a plan B, or do you sign somebody now to bolster that attack and then potentially go back in January or even next summer for Alexander Isak as well? But I want to know your guys' thoughts, of course, because there are plenty of different opinions down in the comments down below, of course. But again, if you're on your own, do hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and all of that good stuff as well. And yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts, because we'll dive into that, of course, all the news as well. Obviously, what happened last night, if you guys haven't or don't know what I'm talking about as well, when it does come to the Alexander Isak stuff. But big up John as well, saying, hi Con. Thought Chiesa controversy over the Juve line. I think it's a bit over the top, in my opinion. Yeah, I spoke about it last night, John. Look, certain journalists trying to make something bigger than what it is. And yeah, I've already spoke about it. Again, I don't really want to get into it again, but yeah, for me, I think it's just journalists just trying to clutch at straws, personally. But look, if they have that belief, then they have that belief. Personally, I think it's them taking the mick a little bit, in my opinion, anyway. But big up Gary as well, saying Talia or Bean, Liverpool must go for. I think you mean Fofana, but they Gary and Barcola potentially. I think you mean Fofana and Barcola, but again, I'm not too sure, because again, my eyes just straight away read that as Bradley, but no, I think you mean Barcola as well. Well, I don't think Barcola is available, if I'm being honest. And look, we will dive into, of course, the news that you guys might not have seen yesterday. If you guys don't know, of course, that was the Alexander Isak. You guys can't really see it well, but but of course, go on his Instagram. I believe it's still there. I'm not too sure if it is now, but even still, it was a big statement last night, wasn't it? Him coming out. I think the big areas around it is certainly in the last two paragraphs, where he does go on to say that there was promises that were made. And of course, he believes that the relationship is broken and has no more trust. And I think I think they are the big words and they are the big lines, really, of that's how he personally sees the deal and sees how the situation is at the moment at Newcastle. Looking from the outside in, Like, of course, we don't know what Alexander Isak was promised by Newcastle. We don't know what their pitch was it was towards him towards the back end of the season. We've heard from the likes of Fabrizio Romano, David Ornstein as well, that have come out and said that Alexander Isak told Newcastle that he wanted to leave 2 weeks before the season finished, or again, expressed himself throughout the season that he wanted to potentially look at finding a new club next year. But in particular, the last 2 weeks of the season, he purposely told Newcastle he wanted to leave. Now, in my personal opinion, who did he tell? Now, is it Eddie Howe? Is it the hierarchies of the football club? Because again, at the moment, they did, was it Paul Mitchell as well? That, of course, the sporting director. Was those conversations in place? Did Paul Mitchell say something to Alexander Isak? Of course, Paul Mitchell was leaving the football club at the time, but was there something said that Alexander Isak had the thought process of, I'm going to be able to leave next summer, but by the looks of it, he wasn't able, or at least the promises that were made have now not become become into fruition. So, like, I think for me, I think that obviously there's two halves of the story, isn't there? I do think Newcastle did tell Isak, if the right price comes in, you can go. But Newcastle's, of course, Newcastle will paint Alexander Isak as this evil person. That's the person you should go on to blame. But personally, I think it's mega poor man management from Newcastle. The fact that they've put themselves in this position, because I've seen throughout the last 24 hours, a lot of Newcastle fans just saying, "Oh well, if Liverpool just put up the money, he'll end up going." Well, number one, why would Liverpool bid any more money when, number one, there's no more encouragement from Newcastle? Again, what was last night, again, Craig Hope coming out with a very bold statement that Newcastle say that he is 100% staying and he's not going anywhere. Then the actual football club themselves come out and it's completely different, or the tone of the statement is a lot different to what all their journalists were briefed, and this is what I'm going to show you guys now. Obviously, Craig Hope last night, straight after the whole Alexander Isak dropping that post, this is what Craig Hope had to say. In terms of an exclusive, Newcastle now have no intention of allowing Alexander Isak to leave in light of the bombshell statement. Club have pursued alternatives and would have explored a sale to Liverpool, but the message from the top is clear. He'll be told he is staying. Now, the thing I find funny with this, in my honest opinion, is, again, like I mentioned, the different tone. Now, Craig Hope has been the number one guy for Newcastle, and he has been from day one when it comes to this whole Alexander Isak saga, certainly with all the news coming out of Newcastle. But then we hear the official news then from Newcastle and the official statement from themselves. So this is what they went on to say. So I will quickly get it for you guys, so you guys can even see it as well. As he does go on to say, "We are disappointed to have been alerted to the social media post by Alexander Isak this evening. We are clear in response that Alex remains under contract and there is no commitment has ever been made by a club official that Alex can leave Newcastle United this summer. We want to keep our best players, but we also understand players have their own wishes and we listen to their views. As explained to Alex and his representatives, we must always take into consideration the best interest of Newcastle United, the team and our supporters in all decisions, and we have been clear in that the conditions of a sale this summer has not transpired. We do not foresee those conditions being met." Now, what they are talking about in this is simple as that. Number one, they've not got the replacements in. And they've not been able to, again, get any strikers over the line because they've been terrible at signing players this summer. They have been. They've been awful. And again, if you listen to a few Geordies, they will say it themselves. they've had a nightmare last couple of windows, and they've been very honest in that. Of course, they've signed Lewis Hall. That was a great signing, I think, last summer. But even still, last summer they didn't really add upon that squad. And of course, they were fortunate with not having any European football at all. Of course, they didn't qualify for any European football the previous season. But again, over the last season, of course, they've got Champions League football, and they've looked at targets that, again, when top teams are going to come in for them, of course, Ekitike, again, Liverpool being interested in him, Matthias Cunha, Brian Mbeumo, Joel Pedro, the list, you can literally make a full 11 now, I think, of players that have rejected Newcastle so far this summer. But in my opinion, it's poor man management. In my honest opinion, I believe it's poor man management from Newcastle, and I could be wrong in saying that. But I also look at it and go, like, surely you've had, like, the whole Wisa situation. They have had so much time to get this Wisa situation done. And now they could potentially lose him to Spurs because of the whole, of course, they've just missed out on Eze, which, by the way, that's a mad signing in itself, of course. Kai Havertz looks like he's going to be out for the season with a knee injury. And pretty much within, 12 hours, they've pretty much gone on to contact Eze and get that deal done. And now Spurs are probably going to look at Wisa as well. So Newcastle might even lose out on Johan Wisa now this summer. And their window has been awful. And what I kind of look at it as well, that relationship now is broken. The majority of Geordies I've watched on social media, YouTube, and gathered a lot of information over the last couple of weeks, they despise Alexander Isak now. They want him gone. I think it's a rare scene now that people want Alexander Isak to stay at Newcastle United. And I look at it and go, well, for me, if you're in that situation, you surely would rather get rid of him. And again, we know for a fact Liverpool will bid again for Alexander Isak, but only if there's encouragement for him. Now, what I personally think is Newcastle, certainly with Wisa, they don't want Liverpool buying Alexander Isak now, because everyone then will know that Liverpool have given Newcastle, that says £130 million, that they then have that to spend. But at the end of the day, they kind of need to have to do that, in my opinion, to get other players in the door. Because, again, Wisa's told Newcastle he wants to join, but Newcastle themselves have, and certainly I find this funny, where Newcastle's supporters have criticised Liverpool in terms of being disrespectful in terms of bidding £110 million. That's the first bid. Again, Liverpool not just going to go straight in £150 million. There's no chance in that. But look, in my opinion, I think it's very ironic that this whole situation is what it is right now. And it's also ironic how Liverpool end up playing Newcastle on Monday night as well at St James's Park, which, again, that atmosphere is going to be electric as well. But I want to know your guys' thoughts, of course, because I think, look, for me, I personally look at it and go, do I like what Isak's done? No, to an extent, I don't. Because if this was the other way around, if it was, we've seen in the past, Phil Coutinho didn't want to play for Liverpool, obviously a mysterious back injury that happened in training. In my opinion, it's not great. But then Coutinho then come back and played and then had an amazing 6 months for Liverpool. Liverpool then got the £140 million from 140 million euros from Barcelona, and then we reinvested that into Virgil van Dijk and Alisson Becker. And that's where I feel like Newcastle need to do that. They take that money and reinvest it into the team. And at the moment, they're not doing that. They're not even considering it. And of course, all you'll hear from Newcastle fans and Newcastle journalists as well as, oh, well, the price is 150 million. Unrealistic. You're not getting 150 million pounds for Alexander Isak now. No chance. But look, that's just my opinion. Anyway, but look, let me know your guys' thoughts, of course. But the Saudis will not sell Connors. Well, that is very true. Of course, they do have a big impact on what does happen. Anyway, but again, the Saudis also do have a few business relationships, of course, with FSG. So again, certainly around as it Live Golf as well. So look, they're definitely in conversations all the time. But big up, obviously, John's in as well, saying, do you think? So you still think we sign a winger and a centre back? A centre back, yes. Obviously, I want to talk a bit more on the winger situation because, of course, the whole domino effect. Again, when we talk about Eze going to Arsenal now are not going to go after Rodrigo. Of course, Spurs could go after Salvinho now again because there's been conversations around that over the last couple of weeks, which would then mean that. You've got the likes of Manchester City then that could easily go for Rodrigo because then again they'd have the opportunity to go and get him. But for Liverpool, again, if there's an option that could Liverpool loan Rodrigo for a summer, that's also another option I think Liverpool could do. But again, there's conversations that, of course, is unrealistic, isn't it? That Rodrigo ends up signing for Liverpool, in my opinion, at least. Custody battle. No, I saw a funny meme earlier of a ladder match between Liverpool and Newcastle, and the winner gets Alexander Isak. So, yeah, bring that on Monday anyway. But Isak's value has dropped. I think Alexander Isak's value has been the same all summer. I think if a reasonable bid of £130 million comes in, he easily then becomes the British transfer record. Of course, he'd already become that already if it is 110 million guaranteed. But the deal will smash the record. It will do. But for Newcastle fans to turn and go, oh well, I think that Newcastle should be getting £150 million. There's no chance that happens. We're pretty much putting it on the same pedestal as what Mbappe joined. Mbappe joined from when Monaco to PSG in that same bracket. So, look, for me, Isak is the deal should be around £130 million, and that I think is very reasonable. And of course, talking about £130 million, like it's just free money. Of course, to us it doesn't mean anything, but to the football clubs, it's a huge transfer. It's the biggest in British history, and look, it probably won't get beat for a very, very long time as well. So look, it's one of those that is record breaking, 100%. But big up Ollie as well. Whatever happens, I'm confident that Edwards and Hughes have a few more trap cards up their sleeve as well. Yeah, hopefully. Well, that's the hopeful dream, isn't it? It's Isak or no one. Make no mistake. Yeah, probably. I think that's the other way around it, isn't it? I think everybody, myself included, we've said it over the last couple of weeks, haven't we, that this is another Virgil van Dijk situation where Liverpool will probably go, okay, we'll be okay for the first 6 months of the season, then we'll go and get him in January. But also, we're saying that I think personally that's a huge risk, considering at the time, certainly around Liverpool, we wasn't in a title fight when Virgil van Dijk joined the football club. Look, we were in the conversation in the top three at that time. Of course, it was City on top. United were in the mix. Obviously, Liverpool, in my opinion, was the second best team in that season, in the 17-18 season. But of course, we had one or two results that, we should have won, or, we should have got something from the game. We didn't. And that's, for me, something similar with this, where I think you have to go all in for Alexander Isak now, because look, Liverpool are in a title race. Look, as of things right now, of course, when you look at the starting 11, of course, Liverpool's fine. But let's say, for example, you've got Ekitike has a little bit of a knock. Who are you going to play at striker then? Are you going to play the double 10 again? Which, again, the last two games of this season so far, it's not worked. It's been terrible. So, look, when we've actually had a number 9 playing, Liverpool have looked a lot better throughout this season, in my opinion, at least. But look, I don't want to see the double 10 for a very long time, at least. Daddy John needs to tell the Magpies, let him go take the money as well. Yeah, absolutely, Simon. Hope you're doing well as well, mate. But no, this is small club than us. Flexing its muscles, 3-year contract should mean something, in my opinion. It should, but this is what I mean in terms of price tag. Now, 3-year contract, £130 million. Now, if Alexander Isak had 1 year left or 2 years left, because this is, again, where Newcastle fans are going, oh, well, Newcastle don't want to pay £60 million for Wisa because he's only got 1 year left in his contract. That's not true. He's got 1 year plus a 1 year extension option, which is pretty much a 2-year contract. And when Newcastle fans go, oh, and it's kind of the roles reverse. They're like, oh, well, no, Brentford should accept it. And that's what I mean, like in terms of the price tag, it's set. Again, Newcastle should see it and go, well, we can negotiate and work it down a little bit. Again, getting the £113 million is, again, British record fee, but again, it's a huge lot of money that you could go and get 3 or 4 signings off easily, that could help you benefit and also help you progress in Europe as well. But yeah, of course, with them looking at Wisa, Strand Larson, Samu as well as another player that they're currently looking at. So yeah, it's another one, to be fair. But Hero says, I like Newcastle, by the way. Always entertaining games with them as well. Yeah, it is 100%, but yeah, Monday's going to be on a different level, I think, in its entirety. If I can get my words out, it is going to be an unbelievable game. Has dropped. Do you mean, yeah, his value has dropped. Liverpool can't sign a player who isn't fit and can't play. But true, look, match fit, he's not fit at all. Like, even if Liverpool signed him now, he wouldn't start games until probably after the international break. Let's be honest. But yeah, it's a bit ropey, isn't it, at the minute? But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But Liverpool should cut their losses and sign 2 wingers. And Gehi says, Gary, I don't know about winger. This is the thing. Who can Liverpool go on to sign to replace for the 2 wingers, Gary? Because again, when you look at the winger market, it's not great. Again, you've got the 2 notable wingers on the list is what Barcola, Rafael Leao, Rodrigo as well. Obviously, that's 3. But there's 3 for you there. But Barcola's not available. Rafael Leao, I wouldn't want at Liverpool. I don't think Liverpool are even looking at him at all. Rodrigo would be very, very good for us, but again, it's the whole money situation. There's reports saying that he wants around £375,000 per week, which this is why Arsenal were a bit turned off by him, because again, I think that would be more than what Bukayo Saka's on at the moment as well. So there's different ways around her, isn't it? And reportedly, I think, was it Dave O.C. Cobb mentioned the Liverpool are looking at wingers, but they're looking at Premier League wingers. So could Liverpool go for a Savinho potentially and kind of work that away from City? There's whole different ways around it, of course. But I do look at the striker market. Could Liverpool go for a plan B in terms of the striker market? I know that people will look at other bits, other strikers, but could Liverpool go back towards a Julian Alvarez potentially? I don't think personally that's an option. Even though I think yesterday there was talks about it, wasn't it? Because I think Atletico Madrid didn't have a good game in La Liga. But even still, look, I think it's a very that would be a very, very difficult thing, really, to go back in for Julian Alvarez, which again, that's £100 million plus. And I think if Liverpool was to go in for somebody like Julian Alvarez, again, Alexander Isak doesn't happen then at all. And I think he's kind of looking at it like that as well, where Sesko's moved, Gyökeres has moved, Chelsea have just signed their strikers as well. Like, there's so many strikers now and top clubs that have their striker. Again, Liverpool have Ekitike, but it's clear we want Alexander Isak as well. Arsenal got Gyökeres, City got Haaland, Barcelona have got Lewandowski, Madrid have got Mbappe and Vinny. Like all the top teams around Europe pretty much have their striker. Bayern Munich with Harry Kane as well. So when Alexander Isak is looking at the top of football and going, well, nearly every team have their striker, and this is why I think he is also so desperate to join Liverpool, is because yes, Liverpool have Hugo Ekitike, and we all think Ekitike will have a huge potential, 100%. But I think also Alexander Isak is looking and go, well, I can slot myself in that Liverpool team, and we can go on to win Premier League again and go on to challenge for the Champions League, and that's his dream. And I think Craig Hope mentioned it, I think in his YouTube video when all this news broke out about Isak. Newcastle's idea of Isak will be content with qualifying for the Champions League. That's not the case. Alexander Isak is not a player that wants to, arguably be fighting to try to get into the Champions League. He wants to win the Champions League. He doesn't want to be, one season like out of Europe, next season in Europe, and kind of be that flip flop right now. He wants to be in Europe consistently and wants to be one of the best players for one of the best teams in Europe. And Liverpool right now, I think, is the only option out there on the market that he's looked at and gone, that's the team I want to go to. That's the team that I can make a real impact on. And look, when he if he was to sign for Liverpool, even though I love Ekitike and he's been amazing, the rotation between them two will be unbelievable. And Arne Slot has already said that. He's already spoke about how he wants another forward at the football club. And even still, the tactical changes he could make with Ekitike and Isak in the same team, that's another thought process that could very well happen as well. But let me know your guys' thoughts, at least down in the comments. But Daryl says, Gay clearly not happening. I think it will happen, but I think it's going to be right towards the end of the window. I think at the minute Palace are racking up the money, aren't they? If anything, they're going to probably get 40 million off us. They're going to get 60 million now off Arsenal for Eze as well. So they just generated 100 million pounds from nowhere, really. So fair play to them. But Hero says, this is the pick of the games this weekend, right? So much current drama. Yeah, absolutely. But to be fair, you did mention another game, City Spurs. That's going to be a very, very good game. A very tactical game, I think it'll be, because of obviously Thomas Frank and obviously Pep Guardiola. Really looking forward to it. Is it on Sunday, that game, or was it on Monday, or was it on Saturday night? I will double check right now, to be fair. Hang on. Is it... Why are Chelsea on Friday? That's weird. It's 12:30. See, whose idea was that? Who on earth thought, oh yeah, let's put Arsenal and Leeds on at 5:30 and put Spurs and Man City and Spurs at 12:30? Stupid. Again, 12:30 kickoffs. We're back. The season's back 100%. But Con Slot has left himself short in attack. He has done at the minute, but hopefully by the window closes, hopefully we'll be talking about Liverpool having a lot of attacking options up top. But no, Gary, absolutely not. Newcastle will continue losing their targets as they continue with their selfishness. The players are now afraid to join since they refuse to allow. Yeah, true. Like, look, if you are someone that Newcastle have been linked with, and then they've pretty much held Isak hostage, haven't they, for this period of time? Because again, having and that's mental to say, because again, look, he is under contract. He did sign a 6-year deal. Look, Newcastle could keep him in the under 21s now for the rest of the 3-year contract and not sell him on. But look, and this is where I laugh at as well, where certain Newcastle fans go, oh well, Liverpool wasn't very happy when Trent left. No, because Trent left on a free, and also Trent ratted himself to leave on a free. like again, we now know that Trent manipulated and done this for years to try and get his move to Real Madrid, and because again, Liverpool would command a hefty fee for Trent. Trent was one of Liverpool's best players. They knew that Liverpool would go on to ask for a huge, a big fee for a right back, or a big fee in general, and he ran his contract down. Alexander Isak, with 3 years left on his deal, is saying, "I want a new challenge." Oh, there's £100+ million, but then that's not good enough. Like, what are we talking about here? It's two different things entirely, and that's one of the biggest things I laugh at in this whole situation. When Newcastle fans are like, "Oh well, it's pretty much the same." And even I seen something today about Kanate as well, because Liverpool reportedly, if Kanate is going to go, they want around £60 million. And I've seen Newcastle fan, "Oh, let him go, let him, release Kanate." And I'm like, what are you talking about? Kanate hasn't asked to leave Liverpool. If he did ask to leave Liverpool, then unless the price is met in terms of Liverpool's valuation going up to 60 or even £50 million, because there'd be talks of, room there, of course, Liverpool would go, again, "We don't want to keep you if you don't want to stay, and we'll let you go." And this is the thing where there's a clear difference between it all. And that's something that really does bug me a little bit, where, again, comparing Isak's situation to Trent's situation, two different things in its entirety, as well. So look, that's just my thoughts, anyway. But plus Rio is going to play 40 games this season, hopefully. It'll happen. Isak will be ours. It's unfortunate the selling club didn't want to sell for a load of cash, but did anyway. Yeah, true. But Liverpool can't persist with chasing shadows as well. Look, I think it's interesting what David Ornstein said, I think, last week, where he said there will be some sort of resolvement after the game on Monday. Now, again, the transfer window closes pretty much the week after that, and of course we're going to finally find out what's going to happen. But look, I wouldn't be too surprised if we woke up one morning and a deal was agreed between Liverpool and Newcastle. I really wouldn't. But again, the sooner that happens, the better, as well. Because again, Newcastle do need to bring someone in, and again, the owners have left Eddie Howe stranded, because again, now he's having to play Gordon up top alongside Alanga and Harvey Barnes, or whatever way they want to do it. Again, bringing a striker, you've got, like, again, the whole Weiser stuff. Go and pay £60 million, or go and pay £50 million. And that's the thing I'd laugh at, really. Go and get Eddie Howe players, because if Isak leaves and you don't replace him, then again, that's not Liverpool's fault, that's your fault. But yeah, that's it's laughable at the moment. But I think Trent Torres have Damoda's sensitivity for, absolutely. Like, again, I think everybody lost their heads last year when it did come to Trent. But now I'm not asked. Watching him yesterday for I didn't watch the game last night, but watching the highlights this morning of Trent. Jesus Christ! Like, what an absolute mare he had yesterday against Osasuna. But yeah, it's again. There's only one Conor Bradley, and there's only one Jeremy Frimpong as well. Bring the boys on anyway. But Conwyn is the pain in the arse international break. I think, is it after the Arsenal game? Hang on a minute. I will double check that. Let's have a look. Yeah, I believe it's after. Yeah, it's after the Arsenal game. So obviously, there's pretty much like a week break from football, because again, we play Newcastle obviously on Monday. Sunday, then we play Arsenal at Anfield, and then we don't play then. So that's on the 31st of August, and then we don't play again then until the 14th of September. So there's pretty much a week gap, isn't it? But anyone play Football Manager? I read it's getting a graphic overall. Yes, I massively play Football Manager, and yes, it looks good. So, well, the trailer looks good. All that the little clips we've seen, but yeah, maybe we might stream Football Manager. Like again, I'm trying to sort out a proper PC. So if anyone knows any good like PCs, to go and get, because again, I want one that can stream, so we can do this. We could do shows. We could do Football Manager. Obviously, like during international breaks or something like that, we could do Football Manager games. We could do other bits and pieces as well. Obviously, it'd help out the channel a bit more as well. But I don't know which PC to get. So if anybody does know any good ones, then let me know. But Match Engine significantly improving. Yeah, 100%. I still play Manager. Great game. 40 mils. Well, Jesus. Again, if anybody remembers, was it 20 FM21 Dominic Szoboszlai? Like absolute goat. Or if anybody plays this year's Football Manager, not Matt Weaver. What's it? Yeah, is it Matt Weaver, the striker from Stuttgart? An absolute baller. But yeah, again, I think were West Ham interested in him? Probably, because they were interested in every striker. Anyway, but look, we are going to leave it there for tonight, guys. Big thank you for everyone for tuning in to tonight's show. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed a bit of a different one. We're gonna probably do. Probably will be Walter H as well. Jesus Christ! Again, he's like 9 foot tall, Cal, as well. But we're probably going to do a tactic show tomorrow. It'll probably be a pre-record, maybe. Again, depends on the time. Anyway, again, if there is any news that does break, of course, we'll be live for it. But basically, the content over the next couple of days, we're probably going to have match preview Friday night. Saturday, I'm trying to get opposition preview. Again, we're trying to get Newcastle fans on. We're going to try and talk about it. But yeah, we're going to, again, we've got content coming up every single day on the channel now. And yeah, obviously, with the football now back as well, we can talk not just about transfers, we can talk about football stuff as well. But yeah, Matt Weaver. Yeah, no, it wasn't Matt Weaver. I know who I'm thinking of. Is it Weeper? Is it the striker? Again, I can't think of his name. But yeah, we'll have to wait. I'll come back tomorrow and I'll let you guys know who I'm on about. Anyway, but hopefully you guys have a good rest of your days. Anyway, I hope everyone's a good Wednesday. I was gonna say Monday then, but it is Wednesday. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow for a bit of a tactic show that we're gonna do tomorrow, talking about Newcastle and their midfield as well. So hopefully you guys do enjoy. But yeah, until next time, guys, that's gonna be it from me. I've been Connor from the Cock Council. We'll see you guys in a bit. Ta-ra.